Time for another edition of Saturday with Seniors. Big thank you to our sponsor, Eisenhower's, Tioga County, Harley-Davidson. And it's not riding season, but you can still go get some service work done on your bikes or ready for spring, or to stop on by and check out what's happening at Eisenhower's South Mansfield. Today we have Jerry joining us, and I am here at the Wellsboro Shared Home. Jerry, I don't know what your last name or too much about your background, but I'm looking forward to meeting you. What's your full name, Jerry?
My full name is Geraldine, but I've always been called Jerry. My last name is Learn. I was born in Girard, Georgia, because my dad was in the service and mom lived down there. Her parents lived in Georgia, and eventually we moved up to Tioga County. I moved to Wellsboro. My parents lived in different places, Arnott, Morris Run. So when I left home, I went to Wellsboro to work for a couple there. She was a nurse at Taten's, and he drove truck for Taten's, and I helped raise their one son.
Let's go back a little bit. So you were born in Georgia?
Yes.
What year were you born?
1942.
1942. Wow. So the war was going on when you were born.
Yes.
Was your dad or a mom or any family involved with World War II?
My dad was in the service.
Was he deployed during World War II?
I don't think he was deployed in the exact war, no.
Mm-hmm. But did serve for our country here.
Yes.
So you were raised in Georgia. So the suburbs of Georgia or in the city of Georgia?
It was in Girard, Georgia. I had no idea whether it was city or country type thing.
So then what brought your family from Georgia to Tioga County then?
Well, Dad wanted to move back up here where Liberty, where he was raised there now, and worked as a farmer there. And
so your dad was originally from Liberty?
Yes.
How old were you when you moved here?
I was about 5, I guess.
Okay, so this is even earlier than I realized. So about 5 years. So pretty much almost all your memories are from Tioga County.
Yes.
And you first went to school in Liberty?
Yeah, I guess it was Liberty. I went to school. There was an old school, one-room schoolhouse there.
Wow.
And I said that my dad went there too, but I don't have no idea.
You're going back quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
So the classic one-room schoolhouse you went to. Did you grow up on a farm in Liberty?
Yes. My dad worked at a farm there and with his parents there.
So you started school in Liberty. Were you in Liberty for a while? Or do you remember what happened next in your life?
Well, we were there for quite a while, and eventually moved to Arnott and then to Covington and then ended up in Morris Run. So I went to school most of my life in Blossburg.
So what do you remember about some of the other places that you lived as a kid? Do you remember some of the things that you used to do for fun or what your parents used to do with you as a family? Because there was no TV, right, when you were a kid?
If we had TV, it'd be a one-time thing. You had to use an antenna to get any TV, and we always used to like the Lawrence Welk show. That was our big excitement, be able to watch the Lawrence Welk show now.
My grandma loved the Lawrence Welk show. Every time I was over there, she would put it on. And, as a kid, I was about 7 or 8. That wasn't exactly my favorite thing at the time, but she absolutely loved it too. Do you remember what else you did as a kid for entertainment? Did you go to the movies in Blossburg? The Victoria was around then, I think.
We did. Friends of ours on up further in Arnott, we'd walk down to Blossburg to the movies there once in a while. And that, but most of the time the activities was a group of kids. I was one of 12, and lots of times we took paraffin wax and you'd wax the back of a piece of cardboard and use that to slide downhill with. If we went swimming, we used an old inner tube for lifeguard, you might say that.
Yeah.
So, and I remember after we moved to Morris Run there was a swimming hole that we liked to go to. And it was kind of unique because it was a lower rock that most of us jumped off from. Then there was a higher rock, a really high rock that those that were braver jumped into. You had a certain spot in the pool there that you could go to, or else if you didn't land there, you might land on your head somewhere else.
Great childhood memories there. Do you remember, when you were in Arnott or Morris Run, was there stores still in the town then and stuff?
There was a little store in, I think, Arnott, but it didn't amount to much, where you could go there and get a few little things now, but most of the time you had to go to Blossburg. I remember as a kid having automatic running water. You automatically ran and fetched it.
So running water meant you had to run to get the water.
Yes.
What type of chores did you have as a kid? Were you the water fetcher as a kid?
I fetched water. I took care of younger brothers and sisters, and anything else that Mom and Dad told me I had to do, or else.
Or else, what would happen, or did you never find out?
Well, Dad said to do something like clean the house before he and Mom got back from wherever. And he meant clean the house or else you got the belt.
Oh, boy. Times were a little more harsh then.
Yes.
Did you ever get in trouble for anything yourself?
Oh, obviously, I got in trouble for a lot of little things. Somebody would stop to talk to me when I lived in Arnott there, and I'd end up getting in the car and going with them because I couldn't sit there on the edge of the road and talk. So then Mom and Dad didn't know I left, so I got in trouble for leaving the house without telling them that I was gone, you know.
Yeah, so keeping your parents up to date with what was going on. How'd you do in school? Were your grades pretty good?
They were fair. I was obviously kept home a lot because of having to help Mom with laundry and so on and so forth. Back then we had even a scrub board. Finally got a wash machine that you had to plug in, and it did not have a ringer on it. Then we eventually got a ringer on the machine, and we had to be careful of putting clothes through. And one time my hair was long, and so I got it caught in the ringers there. But thankfully,
was that a hand turn ringer or was it electric?
Yes.
So you had a washboard. Those are now more used for musical instruments or decorating. But you used a washboard as a...
Yes.
How long does it take to do laundry at the washboard? A long time? I never did it.
A long time. You didn't change your clothes every other day or every hour per se. You changed them when needed and that, you know.
So you rub them on the washboard, and then when you say put it through the ringer, like we hear that term now, but that's the two wheels, right, where it gets squeezed between as someone turns the crank, and then your hair got stuck in there.
And of course it was one of those types that you could push against the top part of it and release it there and that. But thankfully somebody, Mom, whatever, would happen to be in the next room there to be able to pop it open.
And when you did your clothes, you said you changed your clothes every couple of days back then?
Yeah.
And you probably didn't have nearly the wardrobe that today's youth have, I wouldn't imagine, because today's kids have 50 shirts, 20 pairs of pants, 30, whatever.
Did our white clothes first, and then we did our colored clothes.
Yeah, separated the two from each other. Can't imagine the pile of laundry you have now with the washboard.
No.
Did you go to the cobbler back then when your shoes needed a new sole in them? Or if you ripped your clothing, I assume we didn't just throw it out like we do today.
If we ripped our clothing, there had to be a reason why it was ripped. The boys wearing blue jeans, and Mom would mend them, or she taught us how to do it. So they would mend it. They weren't thrown out. A lot of patches were put on some close bunch of the boys' blue jeans and that, you know.
You kept wearing them till there was just...
Nothing left.
Nothing left of them.
And it was passed down from one to the other, too.
And in your household, was there a day of the week that was bath day, so to speak? Some of the families I talked to from back that time period, it was once a week that everyone would take their bath. Sunday be bath day or whatever.
I don't remember exactly. I just remember being in a tub of water, and little by little, each one of us took a shower bath in it there now, starting from the youngest ones.
Is that so the youngest one went first?
Yes.
Okay. Usually with seniority in some of the other families. And you said how many were in your family when you were...
12.
Your parents and 12 kids?
Yes.
Wow. Were you all a year apart?
It was 4 years apart between me and my brother, and then there was, I think, about 2.5 to 3 years between him and my sister, because we went back to Georgia for a while there when my sister was born. My brother was born in Pennsylvania. My next sister was born in Georgia. Then we came back to Pennsylvania. The rest was born up here now.
So how did you get around with 12 people? Did you all pile into the car at once and sit on each other's laps?
We didn't go very far. Dad wasn't one of these that every kid should have their own driver's license and that. Mom didn't have her driver's license until all 12 of us was born. And my youngest sisters just turned 63. She and the next 6 out of the 12 got their driver's license in school.
You remember when you got your driver's license?
I never did.
You never got your driver's license?
No.
It's still time. I'll teach you how to drive. You want to? So you never had your driver's license.
No.
Did you ever drive a car when you were a kid?
I did a couple of times. One time Mom and Dad told me to take the car and go up. It was when we lived in Morris Run, and go up a short distance and pick up eggs and that. And I didn't cut the wheel quick enough, and I went over the edge of the sluice pipe. But my cousin got all the way in the driveway and hit the tree.
So you drove once and crashed once.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I don't want to take it for your drive. So were you married yourself?
Yes.
So how did you meet your sweetheart that you married?
From Marsh Creek Church. I was allowed where I lived and that, raising their son, to have a little group gathering, like Bible study like there, and he kept coming, and he kept, if I went to the kitchen, I had to get something lightweight to eat, like a snack, I'd come back and he'd be sitting in my chair. So I had to sit in a different chair, and it happened all the time. And finally we decided to date each other, and then we got married, and we was married in Marsh Creek Baptist Church.
Uh-huh. Is he still with us today?
No, he died in 99.
A happy marriage?
Yes.
And do you have kids? You too?
I had 2 kids. I had one girl, and she died in the Williamsport hospital of blood clot went to her heart on the operating table. And my son died here 2 years ago. He had kidney liver problems, so he was in Florida when he died.
Yeah, wow. Sorry, you have been through some tragedy in your life.
Yes, I have.
How about vacations as a kid? Did you ever go anywhere far away? When was the first time you went far away? I guess you came from Georgia, so you've been far away, but did you ever go on vacations?
No. Once in a while, we did go to New Jersey to visit my mom's sisters and that, and I even stayed with my mom's sister in New Jersey for a while, and there was another street like behind where my aunt lived at that time, and a girl next door, per se, up on the hill there, taught me how to embroidery there and that, so I stayed with her all summer.
You had mentioned that you liked the Lawrence Welk show on TV. Do you remember some of the other highlights on TV? Were you watching the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, for example? Or
no, only if I watched the Beatles and that, or Elvis Presley. I had to live in Arnott there and walked up to my girlfriend's house at that time and watched it on her television, but we never had television.
who was your favorite musician in that time? Did you like Elvis and the Beatles, or were you more into still the non-rock and roll music at that time?
I never liked Elvis Presley. I can never see what everybody liked in him.
Some people are going, hey.
My girlfriend was wild about him, but I wasn't. Even when I first saw him on television, I couldn't understand why he was after Elvis Presley.
Well, he certainly was popular with some people, but maybe not so much with yourself. Who was your favorite artist? Was there anybody that you thought was amazing at that time?
I thought Gene Autry, and of course the Lawrence Welk Show, and Roy Rogers.
Happy trails to you. Did you ever see any concerts, any music live? Anybody famous that you remember?
No, we never had the funds to go places like that, and we had funds where we had to use them very wisely.
Your parents went through the Great Depression.
Yes.
So they were probably pretty frugal with stuff?
Definitely.
Do you remember some of the ways they saved money? I know my grandma used to always keep all of her bread bags, for example, and she would reuse them for the kids to put inside their boots so their feet would stay dry.
Yes, we did too. I remember Mom making homemade bread, and a lot of times our supper was what we called deep dish peach pie or apple pie. It was like a crust and then peaches and sugar and cinnamon and then a top crust, and that was our supper many times at night, because that's what we liked and that fed a bunch of kids, a bunch of people and that, It was a big treat. My brothers worked on a farm and brought home fresh milk, because we used powdered milk a lot now. Basically, all the time we used powdered milk, so it was a real treat if we had fresh cow's milk.
And your meals probably were not, now people grab fast food. There was no fast food back when
Definitely
you were a kid. And now the frozen food section at a grocery store is bigger than the fresh food section. Yeah. And I don't think it was like that either. So did Mom make all the meals from scratch, I'm guessing, or a lot more from scratch then?
Made everything from scratch. We girls were taught how to peel potatoes, to cook. We were taught how to make macaroni salad, and everything was homemade.
And did you do a lot of canning as well, too?
Yes, we did. Basically, everything was canned. I think we even canned deer meat. Dad was able to go hunting, and he got a deer. We was able to can deer meat. But Hamburg was used for a lot of different foods, and it was a meat that stretched a lot,
Yeah, things weren't wasted as much then. Now we got to rip in our pants. We throw them out. We don't finish our food. We just throw it out.
Yeah.
And I think we're just one generation away from the Great Depression that we just don't remember what it was like then.
Yes.
So what was your first job?
My first job was when I left Morse Run, where my parents lived at that time, and went to Wellsboro and took care of their young son while she worked as a nurse at Taten's, and he worked as a truck driver like at Taten's there in Wellsboro there. Mm-hmm. After I wasn't needed there, I came back to Wellsboro and took care of a semi-bedridden woman. And then after I got married, of course, I didn't work for a while. And then I started working as a nurse's aide at Carlton's nursing home. And then I went to work as a nurse's aide doing home care. Mm-hmm. I walked basically all over town. I was the first one and the only one that they ever hired that walked. And I had to sign a contract saying if I couldn't reach that person, I had to tell them beforehand. And during that time, I met a lot of of different people, a lot of interesting people. There's one woman up on Woodland Avenue that nobody could get along with, but she and I seemed to get along with okay. I don't know why, but we just did. And there was a couple that lived in Park Hill at that time. She liked to do plastic canvas, and she made me a nativity set out of plastic canvas, and I still have it to this day. There's another woman there that liked to embroidery, and she made me picture like with my husband and I's wedding day on it there and that. So that was special. Have this yet to this day too. And I did not know they were doing this for me when I was taking care of them. But I would be going in, and the one lady, like I said, was quite handicapped and that, and couldn't get in and out of the bathtub, not by herself, and so I had to help her not. But they'd be doing this, and on a side note, I've never told by them that they were doing this. I mean.
Yeah, made you feel. I bet you're really good.
Yes.
And helping people is such an important thing. It's so rewarding in this world, and I'm sure those folks, you really changed their life, and that's why they did that for you.
I enjoyed going there, and like I said, a lot of people, I really enjoyed doing that, and they were two of the special couples. I don't know why, but just that maybe they needed more care or something than others. I don't know.
Did you say you eventually ended up living in Wellsboro?
Yes, I moved to Wellsboro from there. I never moved out of Wellsboro, and eventually my husband and I got married, and we lived in town now.
So you're able to walk to work?
Yes.
Which is unusual for someone to be able to walk all the time to work, but handy. What do you remember about Wellsboro at that time period?
Well,
Any places that you remember that are not here? Any memories of things?
Whitmer and Nowhere were where I bought my wedding dress. My sister's, she stood up with me, so her maid of honor dress. And eventually I bought my sister's dresses from there too now. So I remember where Native Bagel used to be Dr. Gillum's office there at one time. Because he was my mom's doctor.
I didn't know that was a doctor's office in that building at one time. I just learned something from that.
And of course, Davis's furniture store is where we bought our furniture from way back yonder when we were.
Yeah, Bob and Debbie there. That's where my furniture 28 years ago came from when I first moved here. That's now the Dean Center.
Yes.
You remember the fire next door to the Dean Center that was at the hotel?
Yes, I remember it. I wasn't involved anyway in it, as far as it, but I remember the fire. There used to be a little Christian book and Bible store right there on Main Street, but I don't remember exactly where it was. Right in there by Davis's there now.
Yeah, I do remember that. Now that you say, I forgot about that. That was here about 25 years ago.
Yes.
Then there was Armchair Books that used to be on the other side street there too at the time. Do you remember the old pharmacy that had the soda? Yeah, Bowers, that soda fountain that was in it, I think.
Yes.
Did you ever go there? Obviously, it wasn't there when I was here, but I'd love to have known about it.
I got all my kids' medicine from Bowers' pharmacy there, and if they were sick and I couldn't get them to the doctors there and that, they knew what medication through the doctor's office to get, and the guy lived at the end of our street, and so he would deliver it to us.
A very personalized service.
Yes.
Wow. Anything else you want to talk about or mention? We got a couple more minutes, but we're just about running out of time.
Wellsboro's changed a lot too. 5 and 10 used to be where
Timeless Destination is now, when it was Paxton's.
Yes, and there was another store right in there too, right from the end up where the subway was at one time there, and before that. And that building's changed a lot too.
Clark Hardware was on the corner, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of little stores aren't around anymore that used to be.
Do you remember when McDonald's came to town?
No, I just remember everybody's all excited about it, and after I was married, even after my kids was born, then I think it was after then that I actually went to McDonald's and that, but that was a big treat to go to McDonald's and get something to eat there.
That was pretty early on that Wellsboro got. That was the first McDonald's within probably 40 miles of here.
Yeah, that was a major treat just to even think about seeing it there now. We didn't go out to eat,
Yeah. Well, great. I appreciate you sharing your memories with us and stuff. And let me ask you, if you had a choice of growing up now in this world with everything that we got going on, or growing up in the world that you grew up in?
I'd rather grown up in the world I was in. It was more personalized. We were a family. We weren't split apart. We were all a family and that. And we were taught how to do chores and that, and expected to do chores, even though it may have been harsh, but it was still a family. It was taught us many lessons in that.
Sometimes when we're being taught lessons, we don't like it at the time, but it's what makes us who we are as an adult.
Yes.
Certainly, and the responsibility and everything. Did you get an allowance as a kid? Let me just ask you this before you finish.
No, we got an allowance. It was because we went out and worked for it. I mean, babysat as a young age. I babysat and got some money that way, but we all had to work for it. We weren't sponsored by our parents.
Had to make your own go with everything.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Jerry, for you sharing your story and all with us here. And let me ask you, how do you like living at the Wellsboro Shared Home before I leave? And we've recorded a few folks here. It's so beautiful in here.
It's good. We have our meals all given to us. Our rooms are professionally cleaned, you might say, once a week, and so it's good.
Somebody here to help you whenever you need it, but
Yes.
and you probably made some good friends here too, I imagine.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you very much. This has been Saturday with Seniors here on KC 101. You can hear all the editions, this one and the others, on our YouTube channel. Just go to our website. It'll take you there, kc101fm.com. And a big thank you once again to our sponsor, Eisenhower's, Tioga County, Harley-Davidson. Thank you for sponsoring another edition